Hey, it's Dusti Martin with the Martin Group at Platinum Living Realty, dropping in to give you your monthly market update for the towns of Cave Creek and Carefree for the month of August 2023. So hit the subscribe button and buckle up. Let's go. All right, our active listings are down from this time last year, 25.3% over this time last year. Meanwhile, our sold listings are also down from this time last year. But our median price per square foot, while it is down 2.2% over this time last year, it's down less than other parts of the valley, namely our neighbors in Scottsdale and Phoenix and further west. So keep that in mind. Like, yeah, we're down a little bit, but remember, like I've been saying the last couple months, we'll go full circle and eventually we'll probably even out and stabilize, which has been my prediction for a good year or two now. So our median price per square foot, though, is sitting at $351.70. With that said, that's nothing to shake a stick at. Unfortunately, if you did buy a home here last year, this time, you probably are about the same price, if not a smidge lower than what you paid for it, but that's okay. Real estate is meant to be a long-term investment, not a quick fix and flip. There's a time and a place for those. This isn't it. Our months of supply, though, is down. So our inventory is lowered. Remember, I said our active listings are down 25%. However, our months of supply is also down 2.5% over this time last year. Our months of supply still sitting at 3.22 months of supply. Now, what is driving that? When you have less houses, you have less inventory. When you have less inventory, but you still have a lot of buyers, your months of supply is going to go down. So we are still in what is considered a seller's market, even though we've had some contractions in price. Most of that contraction we saw starting about this time last year. And then it kind of continued through the end of the year last year. So we've had about 6 months worth of gains, but we've still got, the previous 6 months of losses that we took last year when everybody was freaking out that interest rates were no longer at a historical low. Now that they're closer to a historical norm, a lot of people still need to move, still need a roof over their head, but they're a little less trigger happy when it comes to deciding on their home. So they think about it more. They might cancel transactions more. For most of full-time agents like myself would consider silly reasons. We are still seeing a lot of buyers who feel entitled to kind of get their piece of the pie, even with the knowledge that inventory is so much lower. And in some parts of the valley, inventory is a lot lower than it was last year, and they're trending upward. The thing to keep in mind here in Cave Creek and Carefree is that so many of our residents are only seasonal, about 50% of our residents, as a matter of fact. And so when you have two small towns that are predominantly kind of tourist towns or winter visitor related type towns, whose economy really needs that extra kick and injection of cash from winter visitors, especially during the months when it's cooler, because most of our entertainment venues here in Cave Creek and Carefree have outdoor space. When you're looking at patios and stuff on a lot of our restaurants and nightlife and gardens and Pioneer Town and stuff like that, when so much is outside, it just kind of comes to a lull. It's too hot. And so with that said, you got to keep that in mind. And our inventory and our prices and our activity in the market is always going to be far more seasonal than it is other places in the valley that are bigger towns and have more to offer and aren't as dependent on the weather. All right. So we're currently sitting at 3.22 months of supply. That is a seller's market. It's just not a white hot seller's market. So you probably won't be getting list price. We're probably going to be looking somewhere between 96, 98% of asking. And you're not going to see a lot of appraisals and inspections and stuff like that raised. In fact, it should take about 3 months to sell your home. And with that said, 2 of that month is going to be on the market looking for someone to buy it. And then you're probably only going to get maybe one solid offer in that first month if you're priced and marketed appropriately. If you're not, that's where discussions need to start happening. All right. So then let's look at our median days on market. Our median days on market is up 51.4% over this time last year. That's leaving us with a whopping 54 days on market. Remember, if it were an even stable market, we'd be at about 90 days median days on market. And we're not there yet. We're only about halfway there. And that's indicative of the seller's market, but a slower, more sane, rational seller's market. This time last year, median days on market was about 36 days. And you have to remember the brakes didn't completely come to a screeching halt until about August or September. That's when things really started having a hard time going under contract. And so when you look at that, knowing that this time last year, we had a 36 days on market. June and July were still pretty hot seller months for our economy and for our housing market last year. So when you put it in perspective, no, is it lightning fast like it was still moving last summer? No, but it's also not bad either. So moving over to our months of supply by price point. As you know, if you've been watching this channel for very long, not all price points are created equal, and that's why we break it down every month. So whether you're looking to buy or to sell, you need to know what you're up against. Our $0 to $100,000 price range, there's no statistics because there was no inventory, therefore nothing could sell. Same with our $100,000 to $200,000 price range and our $200,000 to $300,000 price range. When you have no inventory, nothing can be sold, so therefore there's nothing to calculate. If there was a property and it did or did not sell, we would have something to say, but we didn't, so we don't, so we can't. All right. Then we look at our $300,000 to $500,000 price range. We had 2 homes come on the market, but 3 sold. And it didn't leave us with much, and that brought us down to 0.67 months of supply, meaning just over 2 weeks. That is a white hot seller's market for that price range when and if there is inventory in that price range. It is exceedingly hard to find a property between $300,000 and $500,000 in Cave Creek or Carefree anymore. And so when they do come on the market, they tend to go very, very fast. So if you are a buyer in that price point, you need to be ready to jump on it basically the minute it hits the market, or partner with an agent who has their ear to the ground and might see it coming before you do. Then we're going to look at the $500,000 to $700,000 price range. This is kind of turned into the entry level in Cave Creek and Carefree, and we're looking at 1.42 months of supply. So just under 6 weeks worth of inventory. That is a white hot, red hot seller's market. Things are going to move fast. You will likely encounter some multiple offer scenarios. However, don't expect appraisals and inspections to be waived, but do expect for those prices to be pushed more rapidly in the higher direction. So keep that in mind. Then we're going to look at the $700,000 to $1 million price range. And this is kind of one of the 2 main price points in Cave Creek and Carefree now. And I've been doing these market updates for 4 or 5 years now. And every month there is less and less inventory in the lower price points. And before, 700 to $1 million was a whole lot of money and a whole lot of house, and now it's kind of average. So keep that in mind. Take it with a grain of salt. Try not to let what your expectations were just a couple years ago. Try not to let those expectations dictate how you feel about what your expectations should be now. So keep that in mind. However, with that said, our $700,000 to $1 million price range is sitting at 3.75 months of supply, so just over 3.5 months. So 3 3/4, not a week shy, really, of a 4-month inventory. That's also indicative of a slower summer market. It is still a seller's market. It's just not crazy. It's just not absurd. It's going to take 3 or 4 months to sell your home, and that is more in line with a normal seller's market than the psychotic one we've seen the last few years. So even though it seems like a long time, just remember, in a normal, even, stable market and a good market, even back in the day, on average would take 3 to 6 months to sell your home. And that was normal for decades. So keep that in mind. The last few years have not been normal. Then we're going to look at the $1 to $3 million price range. In that price range, we are literally almost exactly at 4 months of supply. We're at 3.94. Again, still a seller's market. You're still going to have gentle upward pressure on those home prices. However, don't expect for buyers to be waiving appraisals. Expect more contingencies. Expect to negotiate, and don't expect list price offers unless you've underpriced the property. Okay, it's going to take you a while. It's going to take 3-4 months to get your home sold. And you're likely, if you're priced very aggressively and you've done a lot of marketing and the marketing is done well, you should have 10 showings in a month and at least one solid offer, somewhere around 96 or 97% of your list price. All right, so then we're going to break it down and look at the $3 million price range and over. This month, we had 13 properties on the market and one sold. That left us with 13 months worth of inventory in Cave Creek and Carefree over $3 million. So when you think about that, you need to remember that is a buyer's market. However, we are also in the dog days of summer, and most of our buyers for that price point are just simply gone. They're on another continent, they're on a beach, they're in another state, they're literally anywhere other than here because it's just too hot. So keep in mind that is a normal variation and a normal swing for our area. If we compare it to last year, it's not all that different, with the difference of being that one actually sold this year. Last year, we had 11 of those, but none of them sold. So we didn't have a way to calculate the seasonality or the demand because nothing had sold. So this year, one did sell, but just one. And like I said, you're still going to be, you've got to be hyper aware of your competition in this price range, and you have to be hyper aware of the condition of your home and the marketing that you do for it. You have to make sure it is the prettiest girl in the neighborhood. Okay. If you're wondering what buying a home in Cave Creek or Carefree would look like, or selling your home in Cave Creek or Carefree would look like, go ahead and give me a call at 480-717-9405 or visit our website at martinpropertiesaz.com.